Bays here with a brand new product, introducing Microsoft's very own gaming console, the Xbox. That's right, the first of its kind, the Xbox One.
Hold on, Millie.
What?
We can't use that name. We have that name reserved for a future console.
What?
We have the original Xbox here, followed by the Xbox 360.
Well, that's great! A different naming scheme. I'm sure the consumers will love that. What comes after the 360? The Xbox 720?
The Xbox One.
What? Who comes up with these names?
One of the coolest things about gaming is being sucked into the atmosphere of it, surrounding yourself in a universe of cool ideas brought to life. But this can even be extended beyond the games themselves, such as the setting of the gaming device used.
This was one of the coolest aspects about the Xbox when it first released in November of 2001. That weird, eerie feeling you got from the background, the weird noises that popped up when you got on that dashboard. It was something cool and like 110% something straight out of the 90s. That's something I kind of miss with a lot of the consoles nowadays. They're all just simple computers at this point. I know what a lot of you guys are asking right now. What's up with the brand new look? Hey, big projects call for big production, and this is something big. Today, we're going to be talking about the Xbox Game Magazine.
The Xbox Game Magazine was one of those elements that added to the atmosphere of gaming, talking about your favorite games as well as others you may have never heard of before. But it wasn't just advertisements. These magazines include reviews, behind the scenes, tips and tricks, or maybe other shenanigans like cheat codes or did you know facts.
But Xbox Magazine, what made it so special? It's not like it was the only one of its kind, you know? I can't talk about Xbox Magazine without at least bringing up Nintendo Power.
Nintendo Power is a magazine series that began in the late 1980s, around the time when Nintendo single-handedly saved the gaming industry from the brink of extinction. The magazine didn't just exist to bring together all Nintendo products, but showed there was a certain relevance to the whole gaming industry. You can even see this with some of the early advertisements. Nintendo Power really brought the atmosphere of gaming to the forefront, showing that it was more than just a pastime hobby, but it was a whole industry beginning to thrive.
I mean, look at this stuff. Stuff's great. It's a little awkward on I'm reading at this angle, but it's very plausible to do. Got all sorts of gaming stories just on the front of it. We got this cool page right here. It's just like Link talking about how he's like the game is now dark. It's so dark. The graphics will slay you if the bosses fail to get first dibs. The graphics will slay you. Like, what the hell? Twilight Princess is my favorite Zelda game. Don't at me. I also notice a lot of these pages have a lot of advertisements. I got another advertisement right here for just gum. There's a random timeline here. I don't know what this is all about. The life and times of Nintendo Power. 1988, the first President Bush wins the White House. Why are you bringing up President Bush? Oh, because Zelda 2 also released during that time, and so did Double Dragon and Super Mario Bros. 2. 1990, global warming. 1990 was the day of global warming? What does that even mean? Why is that listed as a thing? This stuff's all over the place, but it's a cool little timeline to show you things that happened while Nintendo had significant moments. I mean, check out this page. This one has, cheat codes for one of the LEGO Star Wars games. I mean, I'm not currently playing it, but I mean, cheat codes! Dude, half these freaking pages are Pokemon. What is this? Maybe you should have advertised Pokemon on the front of your book if you're talking about Pokemon so much. Oh, wait a minute. And here at the end of the magazine, just like some of the other magazines, it's got a bunch of reviews. You can see all these different games that they personally review. There's one for Fairly Odd Parents. There's a lot of Nickelodeon ones on here. What's that one? 4.5 out of 10. Damn! Those are bad. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat? 9.0. I'm not gonna say that they're biased, but I mean, Sonic Advance 3, 7.5. Surprised you guys didn't do less. Shrek 2, 6.5. I forgot that was a game. Oh, there's another one, Shrek 2, Beg for Mercy. 4.5 out of 10. Yeah, I'd beg for mercy out of that one too. Jeez. These reviews they're telling the truth here. IGN could take some notes.
However, it didn't last forever. After 24 years of tips, tricks, reviews, and guides, Nintendo Power would be cancelled in 2012. Now, this wasn't necessarily a bad thing, as it wasn't a sign of Nintendo going downhill, but instead the showing of irrelevance of magazines as technology became more prominent.
Many people probably just assume it's because Big Bad Corporation decided to strip away all the fun. Now there's no more fun. You know, kind of like how publishers nowadays have tried every way to monetize games to the absolute max. You know what I'm talking about. You've heard those publisher meetings.
Okay, so let's get some things clear here. I'm the boss, so I make the final calls around here, and loot boxes, as well as any other form of microtransactions, have made us way richer than Hollywood would even have the slightest wet dream for in its whole career. So, when I said we need to implement some clever ways of sneaking monetization into games without a huge backlash, I need some ideas that won't create a huge backlash! Now, does anyone here have any good ideas? Well, I mean, we could establish a well-respected relationship with our fans that may even encourage them to buy more stuff from us and stay on good terms with our customers. Excellent, thank you, Mr. Wilhelm. And here's a solution to that I propose. Anyone else having some out-of-the-box ideas today? No? I didn't think so. I mean, I guess that concludes today's meeting. We'll pick up on monetization practices at the start of next week. Oh, and to the illiterate jagoff that continues to take dumps in the public urinal, there's a special spot reserved just for you in hell. And we decided to arrange some quick transportation to get you there as soon as possible, so you won't miss out.
Okay, so corporations have got more money stingy than before, but that's not why they stopped the magazines. That's just not the case. Nowadays, it's so much easier to get your news and information from anywhere. Take a look at what Nintendo has done for E3. They don't even show up anymore. The company does their Nintendo Direct showings in place of their normal conferences, just an hour-long video packed to the brim with new games coming to their devices. These Directs have even been popular enough that they'll even do numerous Nintendo Directs a year.
Now, does the Direct entirely replace the magazine? Is it what killed off the magazine? Not entirely. I mean, I don't think that has any correlation at all, honestly. I mean, I think it's more or less the fact that there are so many other ways that they can spread their business. For instance, you can go to their website and they have news about their games all the time. Or just go to their devices. Hell, the Switch has a tab for news for Nintendo. But today, we're not even here to talk about Nintendo Power. We're here to talk about actually one of my favorites that decided to bundle more stuff with the magazine, the Xbox magazine.
The Xbox magazine launched back in the day when the original Xbox first released. Microsoft had a lot of competition with Sony and Nintendo already in the market, and they were fully aware. The company doubled down what their competitors did for their products, and thus the Xbox Game Magazine was born. But this one had a few changes.
For the most part, the magazine was already pretty similar to Nintendo Power just by looking at it. I mean, they had stuff like advertisements, behind-the-scene developments, reviews like we just talked about, as well as some tips and tricks for some of the games. You know, usually you come to expect from a magazine. I mean, look at this stuff! I gotta say, I do like just the opening page alone, alright? I know not everyone was impressed with Perfect Dark Zero. I mean, also I wasn't either. But the game still looks just... I love the appeal of it. I wish they'd go back to this universe. They could really try it again. But they're too busy with Sea of Thieves. Like, some of these pages for Perfect Dark are absolutely ridiculous. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Oh man, Smash Mouth over here. A beautiful girl would love it if you bought an Xbox 360 at launch. She's batting her big blue eyes at you, hoping you're checking out how good she looks in her skin-tight uniform. She's sashaying up a ladder and flipping her Scarlett bob around to entice you more. Of course, if that fails, she might just have to stick a big old gun in your face and use her persuasive powers the hard way. I can't believe they actually put that in there and kept it in there. And it gets worse, like they have like the little captions next to the pictures. I've been telling those guys to clear up the explosive barrels. Haha, oh meow. Cities of the future look sweet. Ooh, you know, there's room for two in here. I've got DirecTV and a mini fridge too. What? So much detail, so much cover. How'd you like to blast that helmet right off her head? You know you can and you will. Oh, you will. What is up with these things? Yeah. I've got night vision goggles on. Joanna Dark rolls like that, son. Like, it was already cheesy enough, then they had to throw the sun in there. I'm like, come on, son.
Come on, son, you tricked me! Come on, son! Come on, son! Come on, son!
And they got advertisements just like Nintendo, but they don't have them as often. But when they do have them, they go full on out on them. Hey, they got an advertisement here for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Straight up. It's a good game. It is illegal to say otherwise. Oh, because we're not talking about that Battlefront 2. We're talking about that Battlefront 2. There's a lot of pages in here talking about King Kong, like a new game coming out. But here's the thing. They talked about King Kong on the front, unlike Nintendo Power talking about a lot of Pokemon, even bringing up the front cover. Some of us don't even play Pokemon, okay? I'm just saying. Don't give me that you have no childhood bullshit. I had childhood. Just didn't have Pokemon in it. So the awkward thing about this magazine is the fact that, yeah, it still says it's an Xbox magazine, but this was like on the brink of the 360. I think it was, yeah, this is November 2005, and the 360 is coming out next year. Oh look, they have advertisement for their advertisement. They're advertising their next book. It's kind of cool. They're accepting letters from people and kind of just responding back. Zelda on Xbox. I was super pumped to hear that Ridge Racer and Resident Evil series would be making it to the Xbox 360. It got me thinking about what game exclusives to other platforms would be cool on the system. What are some of your favorite games from other platforms that you'd like to see on the Xbox? Timmy 2000. Whoa, Timmy! We play all kinds of games, and a few that we would like to see on the 360 include Twilight Princess, the super cute. Oh, enough said. They said it in here. They said it in here. Twilight Princess on Xbox. Make it happen. Editor's note, have you ever seen gas prices lately? Before you know it, the Xbox 360 will be cheaper than a month's supply of fuel. This thing's like a time capsule. Want to look up some cheat codes, but you're away from your vast collection of official Xbox magazine back issues? All you have to do is text the word cheat to 924-328. That's 924-328. Cheat codes for the game will then be sent directly to your singular device. I forgot that was a time. I would totally do that to see if the line's still working. I might do that later, but my phone is kind of taped to my tripod right now because I'm that bad at reading scripts. It's, yeah, I was never the most intelligent person. It's kind of sad that this is all advertisement for like 360 before the Red Ring of Death ever happened. Ooh. Oh look, there's something by Jeff Keighley here. That's kind of cool. In Microsoft's best case scenario, the Xbox 360 will have as much sex appeal as the iPod. Jeff Keighley, I'm gonna give you a pass just because I like the Game Awards show. But I'm not gonna give you on the pass just because of the time of date it was, okay? iPods were kind of cool. They weren't that cool. Did anyone else spot this, by the way? Jeff having sex with technology? Maybe that's why he hosts the Game Awards. See, this is pretty cool. This is how you do it. So they have a page on here talking about Far Cry Instinct. Looks kind of a cool game, you know, they got some details talking about the game itself, what's it about. But in like the bottom corner of it, they have a review for it, and a verdict, and explaining the pros and cons of it. On the next page, they actually go on to another game, and they do it in the same exact format. Alright, Far Cry Instinct, let's see what they gave it. Sound is decent sound effects and voice acting, but the background music is pretty dire when it isn't just plain bland. Oof. Here's a bad. Gratuitous language. You can't not... That right there is what I was afraid of, and so that's why I put like a lot of padding down here to make sure my phone wouldn't break. Now, no matter how cool the magazine is, it's nothing different. It's still pretty similar. You see, if you're trying to appeal inside of an already competitive market with Nintendo and PlayStation are doing their own things, and they've been around for quite some time at this point, you gotta bring something new to the table. It's exactly what Xbox did. They added a little bit more interactivity beyond the magazine.
With the Xbox magazine, it also came bundled with a disc chock full of demos, trailers, and downloadable content. You heard that right, downloadable content on the original Xbox. When booting up the disc, you could open the tab for downloadable content and obtain saves for games. Some of these saves gave cheats exclusively for that save file added. More of these save files even added new modes to the games, like a harder difficulty not initially within the game. Some of the content even added brand new stuff for the game, such as adding new quests for The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, and adding the Halo 2 Mjolnir song to Guitar Hero 3. This was one of the ways to add more content to the game before using the internet to just patch the rest of the game in later. Now, for the fans invested enough on their favorite games, we're now rewarded with extra stuff just for purchasing magazines and reading up on their favorite products.
These discs were pretty enticing as well when trying to maintain the theme of the Xbox. Like, just loading the disc alone kept that eerie feeling you got from the dashboard, but as you loaded up the disc, it was really cool and really appealing and tried to go for that everything gaming feel, you know, kind of like how the magazine did. The disc was able to do so, or so.
The There were many trailers for the games that were coming soon, or games already released. Usually these trailers related to topics already read in the same magazine issue. The articles you were reading now had a visible demonstration, but it was beyond that, as there were playable demos within these discs as well. Take that, Pizza Hut! What do you have? One PlayStation demo? That's what I thought.
Okay, so now for the ultimate question. How do these demos hold up? Well, I went ahead and got a copy of an old disc that I used to play back in the day, and I actually went a step further and got a hold of the copies of the playable demos so I could play with their final products as well and see how they held up. So, how'd they hold up?
The first game we started off with was Cacto Chojin, a fighting game similar to the likes of Soul Calibur 2, a 3D brawler with a fairly complex fighting style that changes up per character, and immediately the sound design grabs you in like no other.
Cacto Chojin.
Just like the way the Xbox Magazine demo did so visually, this game grabbed you with some of its design from just booting up into the main menu. However, this part alone we can already see some differences from the demo in the final product. But other than that, not too much has been different from the final product aside from some dialogue being too quiet in the demo version, as well as some occasional frame drops, both of which were fixed for the most part within the final release. But that's when the funky stuff comes in. Cacto Chojin was released November 11th of 2002, but this demo was an earlier build of the game released March of 2003. In fact, all of the demos were like that. They all had earlier builds of the games, but the magazine was released after all of the games had already come out. And trust me, I checked to make sure the magazine wasn't advertised a year ahead of its time like cars usually do. This magazine did release March 30th of 2003, but then why do that? And also have the magazine state playing the game before they even release. Either they were blatantly ignoring the fact that the magazine was releasing late, or due to the fact of Future PLC, aka the owners of Xbox Magazine at the time, was a British company. A lot of releases for games for Europe were usually later, but even that doesn't add up because Cacto Chojin was released 4 months before the magazine, and later being pulled off store shelves outside of North America due to a controversial decision to use Arabic language within the game's soundtrack. Okay, release dates aside, how do the rest of the games hold up? Shenmue 2 is a well-known game that I didn't even bother picking up for testing purposes. Mecha Soul is a game I grew up with and is very polished with a huge difficulty spike. The game relatively holds up well in the gameplay department, but suffers in its writing and sound design. These problems escalate even more so in its sequel, a conversation for another day. Indiana Jones is Uncharted before Uncharted. Controls are rough at times, Indy is clearly not played by Harrison Ford, cutscenes are lackluster, combat is unique but can be repetitive, and the story has a decent length to it. Then there's MX Superfly. I expected great things from this game after playing its demo again. After playing the final product, I finally remembered one thing. I don't like racing games. This game's racing system is generic as it gets, the trick system is heavily flawed, the track creator was clearly just thrown in to have more fluff, the minigames are good on paper, yet dull in execution, especially on these maps, and the career mode is literally just 3-lap races on overly large maps. I can only hold the trigger and slightly move the thumbstick for so long before falling asleep. Which I ended up doing. The soundtrack was stellar, but I can only listen to Hoopastank's pieces so many times before realizing the soundtrack was one of the only redeeming features about this average game, at best. The game's not bad, but it's definitely not great either. That leaves one game left on the disc. Vex.
Though, I won't be talking about Vex. Mostly because it deserves its own video.
You better not be talking about Vex. It already took me 12 hours to edit this video alone.
It's going to be a huge topic, and I definitely want you guys to see that, because this game was more than nostalgia to me, okay? It's a solid and well-polished platformer, and it's one of my favorite games I've ever played to date, and I love it so much. It's even heavily inspired by Super Mario 64. But what's more interesting is the development that this game went through, the many iterations they had to go through, the fact that this is one of Acclaim's final products released before the company shut down, or some of the 11th hour changes made to the game before release so that it worked for casuals as well. So why did this game get very much attention, and why does nobody know about this game? Honestly guys, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that upload, and that's not me just trying to advertise myself, that's me saying that it's gonna be a pretty cool video, and I really want to make sure you guys don't miss out on that, and I think you guys are really gonna want to check out that upload when I get it out. So be sure to hit the bell next to the sub button to make sure that whenever it comes out, you know, you see it and you get to see the upload. It's gonna be absolutely fantastic. And trust me, I won't be spamming your guys' sub box. My current subs can vouch for me on that one. I can't guarantee you guys are gonna see this amazing video when it comes out, so just a heads up for you guys. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you see that video.
You know, the funny thing about this video is how it actually started. I initially just wanted to quickly go over these cool demos I played as a kid. Did they hold up against the test of time, or not? But then we got into the high production stuff with lights, cameras, and green screens for action. But then I knew that talking about this would inevitably lead to people bringing up Nintendo Magazine, which changes the whole purpose of this video to a comparison. But that was never the intention here. I was just talking about Xbox Magazine since most people have never heard of it. But how could I not bring up Nintendo Power? The damn thing's older than I am. I'm losing to a freaking magazine here.
I'm losing to a bird!
It's sad to see the magazines gone nowadays, but I mean, it makes sense. I mean, magazines aren't really as relevant since technology's progressed so far and there's so much we can do just from the devices themselves. However, it does suck to see some of those cool themes from the older magazines and the way the older console generations were. That stuff was really cool, that weird 90s-esque thing. Now all the consoles nowadays are just streamlined, like simple computers, just for people to boot up the damn thing and watch Netflix. Hooray. Hopefully sometime in the future we'll see stuff like this return. I don't know, just more of the theming. It doesn't have to really be the magazine, because I know a lot of people don't really care for that, and that's not really gonna make a comeback, and that's fine. But come on, a gaming device should feel like a freaking gaming device. That was like the cool aspect of gaming from time to time. If you want to streamline it, there are ways to streamline it. But have some fun with it at least, you know? Now, although Nintendo Power is gone, you still can pick up the Xbox magazines. I mean, they don't have the game demos anymore. They stopped selling the game demos after the 100th copy, which was like halfway through the 360's lifespan. And I guess that's fair. You can access most of that stuff through the 360 and the Xbox One now, like I talked about earlier. Devices can do that now. It's just easier to streamline it. So what's the point?
It seems like we do have somewhat of a replacement for the charm of these magazines due to the Nintendo Direct and this week on Xbox, but as stated many times previously, they are sorely lacking in charm. But with Xbox's new approach with Phil Spencer putting emphasis on the gamers,
gamers,
we'll just have to wait and see what's next with the upcoming console generation coming in 2020.
Hey you. Come here. Like what you saw here today? Well, that's good. There's a lot more where that came from. Be sure to subscribe to Half Pint today and you'll get a lot more where that came from. Oh yeah, you'll get the good hookup. The good stuff, that's what we're talking about. Or we can do this the hard way. We're doing this the hard way? Well, we can do this the hard way. Here we go. Ba-bam! Yeah, that's right. We're doing this the hard way. You're gonna be sleeping with the fishes tonight. Yeah, so hit that subscribe button or otherwise, you better sleep with one eye open. Ta-ta.